According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the average U.S. household generates over 20 pounds of hazardous waste per year. Walpole is one of many communities in Massachusetts to offer an annual Household Hazardous Waste Collection event to combat health and environmental risks and lessen the town's financial burden to clean resulting contamination. At this year's event, lifelong Walpole resident David Rice says he's been volunteering at the annual Household Hazardous Waste Day for over 10 years.
It pollutes. It never, if you dump it in the ground, it just stays there. It never, in Walpole we get all our water from the aquifers, so it would get down and get into the aquifers. Yes, it's just chemicals, and we just have so many chemicals that we're getting into ourselves now. We've got to get rid of them, and this is the proper way to do. This is costing the town quite a bit of money, but they feel it's well worth it. The Board of Health does a good job.
The EPA defines hazardous waste as any leftover household product that is either corrosive or toxic or can catch fire, react, or explode under certain circumstances. When not properly disposed of, the chemicals found in hazardous waste can seep into the groundwater, contaminating all local waterways, from rivers and lakes to septic tanks and treatment systems. Walpole itself has experienced these impacts firsthand.
We did have some super sites in Walpole from asbestos. We had one, I can't remember the others, but yeah, it takes years for them to clean up. We have some that the chemicals, there used to be an old factory up in South Walpole, and the other one down on South Street, they just keep pumping the water up and filtering it, pumping it up and filtering it, and it takes years to clean it up. It's so much better if we can just do it the right way. Every person that comes through, I thank them for bringing it, because otherwise it would just be sitting there. We can't get over all the stuff that's brand new, that hasn't even been opened, and so we're just thrilled that people bring it down here and don't just throw it away.
Household Hazardous Waste Day is sponsored by the Walpole Board of Health. The event is made possible through coordination between town entities and private companies. Today, Philip Russell is volunteering as an affiliate of Walpole's Emergency Management Agency and as a member of the Community Emergency Response Team.
We help with logistics and just overall flow of the Hazardous Waste Day. CERT is a volunteer organization through FEMA and Massachusetts Emergency Management that is trained volunteers in any disaster, whether it's man-made, natural, or hurricane disorder, to search and rescue, damage assessment, first aid, and anything that we can do to help out the first responders, the police and the fire department. Emergency management is your case of any natural or man-made disaster. We are to respond and help out the town first responders. We have a small group, and the CERT team are volunteers that are trained. It's under a FEMA program to respond to emergencies, disasters, medical, or even, any disaster that overwhelms the first responders.
We're helping people to throw out hazardous chemicals and electronics like batteries and light bulbs.
Having volunteered for the first time this year, Walpole resident Dev Shaw says the event has given him a better understanding of what products are considered hazardous waste.
I didn't know for the longest time that you couldn't throw lithium batteries, but now I know that, so yeah.
As an employee with Western Oil, Brad Morse has attended Walpole's Hazardous Waste Day for the past 3 years. He explains what happens to the waste after it's collected and how it's repurposed for future use.
They take it all and they put it inside of tanks that they have, and they heat it all up and they separate any oil and water, and then they just use the waste oil as waste oil. They're where asphalt plants, people use it for heating their garages and stuff in the winter. Some people, if they didn't have a place to dispose of it, they dispose of it in the trash, and it would end up in a landfill. It would be all over the ground, or would just dump it on the ground or throw it wherever. And yeah, it's a good thing. They collect a lot of oil and antifreeze and stuff. It's good.
According to Walpole Public Health Director Melissa Ranieri, roughly 200 cars pulled through for the 2025 event.
So this has been a long-standing event. I've been with the town for 11 years. It's definitely a well-oiled machine, no pun intended. We work with very similar vendors. So we have Veolia, which they accept all batteries. They take television monitors. computer monitors, things in that nature. We have Clean Harbors, who takes all of the toxic and hazardous chemicals. We have Western Oil, who takes oil, antifreeze, and oil filters. And then we have great support from our Walpole Department of Public Works, and they take propane tanks as well as the larger batteries, like the car batteries. All of the vendors are registered with the state, obviously, in order to be able to transport all the materials that are collected. But for the oil, for example, they use the drums. They do have spill pads available underneath the drums, so when they're pouring the oil that is received into the larger drums, it's done in a manner that it's not going to cause any environmental concerns or any spills on the site that we utilize. And then as for Clean Harbors, similar scenario, they do have the double-walled drums. All of the staff that's there has the Tyvek suits on. They have the plastic on the flooring of the ground to avoid any spills or anything going wrong. And then ultimately, when they're transporting it, they do have to have the chemical signage on their vehicles to ensure that those that are driving by know what's inside the vehicle and that they are transporting following regulations through the state. So unfortunately, the problem with disposal of hazardous waste day is there is a fee associated with it. However, for the town to encourage individuals to properly dispose of their items, we only charge $10 for disposal of hazardous waste. We are billed, obviously, the full amount. However, to encourage residents to properly dispose of these items and make it a feasible cost, it is $10, and residents can pay at the event. Cash or check is accepted. In addition, if those individuals attending the event are bringing more than just toxic hazardous materials, there are other fees associated. So to dispose of television monitors or computer monitors, there are fees associated with it, ranging from $10 to $75 depending on the size of the screen, and this information is found on our flyer. In addition, fluorescent bulbs and oil and antifreeze are free of charge. For those individuals that aren't able to attend our one-day event, we do have a reciprocal agreement with 7 neighboring communities, and how that works is we joined a consortium many years ago with these communities, so they all provide their own hazardous waste days, but we work together, so then that way residents, if they're unable to attend our community's event, they still have the opportunity to properly dispose of their items. So if someone is interested in that opportunity, we do have the information up on our town website, and then we also have it on our you can call the health department, we provide it, but it's 7 neighboring communities, and what you would do is get a voucher to attend their hazardous waste day. You pay the $10 that you would pay if you were to attend Walpole's hazardous waste day, and then we provide you with a voucher. You go to that hazardous waste day, and then that community would bill the town of Walpole for what they were charged for it. So very similar. Those interested, definitely contact the health department, because you do need that voucher, so you'd have to get it from the health department, and at that time we can let you know which dates the communities are offering their reciprocal hazardous waste day, and then also what items are collected. For the most part, it's pretty similar to what Walpole collects.
In addition to offering a convenient opportunity for proper disposal, public awareness also plays an important role in addressing local hazardous waste contamination.
Anything from aerosol cans, yard, fertilizers, household items that people are just unsure as to whether they can get rid of them. The thing is, you really don't want to be throwing anything down the sinks or down the toilets. I think there's a misconception where people think I can just flush it and it's fine, but that will cause contamination to the water stream. So you want to throw those out. And then unfortunately, if you are throwing things out in the trash, ultimately it could get in the wrong hands or potentially leak out into the environment. So disposing of it properly is very important. So all your toxic hazardous materials we accept. We don't accept alkaline batteries, because those actually can just go right in your household trash. And then we collect paints, varnishes, stains. Another misconception, so we do not collect water-based paint, which would be your latex-based paint, because that can be dried out and put with your curbside trash. It's not toxic or hazardous. So that's one that we get a lot when residents come in. They're cleaning out garages, sheds, and they have a whole slew of paint. When we actually go through it, a lot of it is latex-based paint, and that's something that we wouldn't collect because it's not toxic or hazardous and can just go directly in one's trash.
The Environmental Protection Agency has published advice for safely handling hazardous waste products. More information can be found on their website. Questions regarding the safe storage or disposal of specific products can be directed to the Walpole Health Department. For Walpole Media, this is Jessica Kurgo.